Welcome back. All right, so we are going to discuss on the hockey set today some wrestling. And I'm going to talk about an event that I have already paid to watch. I actually did order through Fight TV. I ordered AEW All Out. In Canada, we are. I'm not happy with the options that we have, and I'm surprised that TSN hasn't really gone all in with AEW. It surprises me, but they haven't yet. Maybe that's coming. This pay per view though feels big, doesn't it? It feels big, and the roster is huge. This is a company now that has a roster that can challenge any that I've seen. I know there's been comments about whether it's the most talented ever. I don't like to make comparisons of what the most talented roster is ever, but I will say this is a pretty deep roster, and it is going to be a lot of fun watching how this settles out. So I'm going to talk about matches and make my own predictions on who I think is going to win, as well as I want to talk about these guys over here. We might as well start with these guys over here. Malachi Black is not on the card. Doesn't have a match. He's got a match with Lee Johnson tomorrow night, Friday night, on Rampage. I'm kind of surprised Malachi Black isn't on this pay per view. However, they are building him up. He will get onto a pay per view. He'll get onto the next one. There are a lot of really good heels in this company. It might be one of the weaknesses, if you can find weaknesses, one of the weaknesses might be that the heels just look really, really strong. And it doesn't look like faces are getting over. One example is heel champ, heel champ, heel champions, heel champ. So Malachi Black coming up, it's a matter of which heel champ is he going to go after. Malachi's character, he can go after anybody. So he could absolutely attack good guys, bad guys, it may not matter to him. And the crowd reactions he's getting have been mostly positive. He gets them to boo him. He does very well with that. But if he were to attack a Kenny Omega, I think the fans would go absolutely insane. Rightfully so. I still don't understand why WWE let him go. Bryan Danielson, also known as Daniel Bryan in the WWE circles, he's supposed to be on this card, as in he'll show up. So I'm predicting he shows up either in the main event with Kenny Omega Christian, or somehow gets involved in CM Punk Darby Allin. And I don't know exactly where he shows up, but it feels like it's going to have to be one of the more important matches where he does show up. Unless he is the one with that empty slot in the women's casino battle royale, which would be outside the box thinking, right? Billy Gunn, I normally wouldn't have Billy Gunn as a guy that might show up, but based on what we saw on the most recent episode of Dynamite, he could. He absolutely could. That's a bewildering angle. We're going to come back to that. The Inner Circle and the Pinnacle, most of them not booked. We may get an overbooked kind of match between Jericho and MJF. It is possible that we see Spears come out, and then you get Guevara come out, and then you have Santana and Ortiz come out, and you've got just basically a schmoz going on. It's possible. Not probable, because that should have already run its course. But since they're not booked, they can absolutely show up at some point. And Adam Cole, I've got with a question mark because clearly Britt Baker was trolling everybody last night when she said she had a free agent to announce, and she announced herself. So good trolling job, Britt. Big thumbs up for that. I think that's great. So yeah, Adam Cole could end up showing up. He could show up here. They could save him for next Wednesday. They could say, you know what, we've already got Daniel Bryan / Bryan Danielson coming out. We don't want to have Adam Cole come out and not have that be a big deal. So Adam Cole comes out later. Or just, again, fantasy booking. Adam Cole shows up as a surprise and says, I am here to run through your roster. There's nobody who can stand in the way of me. And then Bryan Danielson comes out, and you have Daniel Bryan versus Adam Cole. You can have a double count out, and the crowd goes absolutely, completely bonkers the whole way through. Right? So there's that possibility that's there. And I'm going to say, I know people get kind of upset that, guys from the WWE end up somewhere else. Right. However, Malachi Black, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole were all known wrestlers before they went to WWE. They were all known entities in the wrestling world. I think that we sometimes don't give enough credence to the amount of fame that these guys get in our ROH, on the independents, in Impact. And then they go to WWE and everybody knows who they are. And so when they end up in AEW, it's, oh, look, they're all WWE guys. Well, no, AEW is also taking on people from Impact as well as from ROH, really including everybody, which is good because think about it. With a bloated roster like they have, it means that they can take some wrestlers they may not have anything for right now and say, you can go over and wrestle in Japan. We'll put you in New Japan. You can go wrestle in another company. You can go over and have a few matches in ROH. You can still make your money. You've still got your contract here. It can work out really well. So let's go over the card, and we'll start with the main event first, which is Kenny Omega versus Christian. Christian has been absolutely awesome. I don't think it matters how old he is. He is still a very good wrestler. And again, when people make the WCW versus what's going on now argument, a lot of the wrestlers that went to WCW, who were old WWE guys, it feels like they were older than a lot of the guys who are going there, but they also weren't. Some of them were good wrestlers, but they weren't great wrestlers, and Christian's a great wrestler. So I really think he makes a credible threat. But Omega, his challenger is going to be Hangman Page. We know Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega for the titles coming. And so Christian will likely lose this match. My guess is after the loss, the Elite attack him, and then Hangman Page makes the save. That's my guess. Hangman Page makes the save, and then we end up with a build to the next pay-per-view being Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page. CM Punk versus Darby Allin. Darby Allin is an awesome talent, young wrestler, and CM Punk's going to make him look fantastic, and then he's going to win the match. They don't bring CM Punk in to lose the match to Darby Allin, but they give him Darby Allin because Punk's really excited to work with these guys. You can see the enthusiasm on his face. I have never seen him this happy to be in a wrestling ring. I did not watch CM Punk in ROH, so I can honestly say I've never seen him look this happy as he does right now. It feels genuine, like he's actually quite happy to be there. And hopefully that's true, and hopefully he's having a good time backstage working with everybody, and it stays that way, right? The Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros. I'm kind of surprised it wasn't Jurassic Express, but I think Jurassic Express will be the team to take the tag titles off of the Young Bucks because the crowd loves the Jurassic Express. And why not? Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy are both awesome. So my guess is the Young Bucks hold the belts here and then drop them after. I think there's going to be a night of reckoning for the Elite where they lose all their they lose all their gold the same night and then they're all pointing fingers at each other. I don't think that's happening yet. Lucha Bros and Christian, it doesn't feel like that's the group that's going to make it happen. If it's Hangman Page and it's Jurassic Express, that might be where it happens. Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander. Britt's holding on to the title. Chris has been built up nicely. I really like her with the Best Friends too. I have to say, her with Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends, it just works. And it's great how in AEW they have these groups that you get together and you go, yeah, that's good. That's good. And they don't overdo the gang warfare. Like they don't have gangs of like 80 people like NWO stuff. I've been watching old wrestling stuff from the late 90s here on YouTube. And there are some WCW ones where I'm like, why was it I hated this angle so much? So I watch, I'm like, oh, right, yeah, there's 40 NWO guys that all hit the ring at the same. This is ridiculous. So, yeah, Chris Statlander and Best Friends, I like that whole thing. I think Orange Cassidy is hilarious. And so I'm looking forward to seeing Statlander give Britt a good run for her money. And then Britt uses some nefarious means to hold on to her belt. Eddie Kingston versus Miro. I think Kingston wins the belt here. I do. I think that Miro losing the belt here, and then one name that's not on the board, his wife's 90-day non-compete is up. So he's been talking about his wife in every promo, right? So what better than to have CJ Parker show up and help him out after he loses the belt against Eddie Kingston? Where he comes out on the following Wednesday and goes, I need to make a change, so I'm bringing in my manager, CJ Parker. And out she comes the former Lana from WWE, and it could work. She's good at getting over as a heel. She's a good talker, and there was never any argument about that when she was Lana, that she's a good talker. The debate was about her wrestling. I think that if she does join AEW, with what they're doing with the women's roster right now, I think she could actually become a actual qualified, accomplished wrestler. WWE would toy with the idea, but in the end, they always made her look terrible. And they always made it look like Lana was a joke. So it's hard enough when you've got fans who are, saying whatever about Lana, but when the company itself is going, yeah, she's kind of a joke. Who's going to take her seriously? So we'll see if that happens there. Chris Jericho versus MJF. This should be a match where the good guy wins. So I have Eddie Kingston as the only one that I think has a realistic opportunity of winning a belt here. And so Eddie Kingston and CM Punk would both be good guys winning, and I think Jericho wins because his career's on the line. I don't think Jericho retires. He's 50. If he wants to retire, he absolutely can. I think he's done so much good for AEW. He definitely helped them out of the gate as the initial champion, gave that belt some real credentials, and then he did the right thing. He handed the belt over to Jon Moxley, who then handed it over to Kenny Omega. We've had 3 pretty good champions in AEW. And so for Jericho, if MJF beats him a 4th time, MJF can say I retired Jericho and move on. But MJF, which champion is he going for? Because all of the champions right now are heels, and MJF belongs in a champions feud right now. He is so hated. I even, myself as a fan that I've watched wrestling for about the same amount of time as I've watched hockey, about 40 years. I hate him. I hate MJF. And I hate him in a way that's good. It's not I want him off my TV. It's why doesn't anybody ever get to kick him in the head? Why doesn't he ever get his comeuppance? So that's a good thing. That's what you want with your bad guys, is that fans want to see a guy get his comeuppance. So I guess MJF gets that this week against Jericho. I don't think it's Jericho's last match, but if you think it is, let me know why in the comment section below. And then the match I'm confused by. Why is this here? Paul White versus QT Marshall. I'm not trying to say anything bad about Paul White or QT Marshall, but when you look at some of the names that aren't on this card, to me it's weird that the former Big Show, Paul White, is against QT Marshall, who I guess they're trying to build Marshall up, but of course White chased them all off this week, and then Billy Gunn came in and hit him with a chair twice, which was odd. The whole thing was weird, and so does Billy and his kids come out. I don't know. I really don't know what to expect in this match. Paul White should win, and then after he wins, something else should happen, I would think. I'm honestly kind of surprised Paul White's in a wrestling ring, and hopefully they take it easy with him. But if you've never seen the Paul White interview on the Broken Skull sessions with Stone Cold there, it's worth a watch. Because I was one of those people too that said I really wish he'd retire. Oh, I'm so tired of all the face turns and the heel turns. And then watching that, I was like, you know what? I will never complain about Paul White again. So hopefully in this case, he's there to put guys over, and he usually is. As he pointed out in that podcast, when was the last time I won a match? And I thought, yeah, I can't remember when the last time was that Big Show won a match. Jon Moxley versus Satoshi Kojima. So, he doesn't get Tanahashi, but he gets Satoshi Kojima. So, Jon Moxley, wrestling somebody from New Japan, it absolutely checks out. And so, Moxley, while he's not in the title picture, they give him something else to do. Awesome. And it's possible at some point that Moxley and Kingston could be the one to beat the Bucks, but I don't think so. I don't get the feeling that that's in the offing. So this should be a great match. I'm looking forward to it. And then there's the Casino Battle Royale, where the winner of this match will be the #1 contender for likely Britt Baker's title. It's highly unlikely Chris Statlander wins the belt. But the Casino Battle Royale was announced today. Riho will be in it. She was the initial champion. I was never a huge fan of Riho. She's just so tiny, and there were times she was wrestling a match where I was like, I really think her opponent could just fling her. And I think she weighs like 90 pounds. So, and I love Rey Mysterio. I love smaller wrestlers, but there is a limit, I feel, and I think Riho is a little bit under it. Anna Jay has a fantastic look. She has a lot of talent. And I think she's one of the best women's wrestlers to come. I don't think she's there yet. I think her return on Dynamite this week, I think that was great. And I really hope that her and Ty get to work together during this Battle Royale experience. But I don't expect her to win it. Kyra Hogan, young, up and coming, very talented. I expect her to be heelish. And that's my expectation anyways, is that she'll end up being a heel. I've seen her work that angle in Impact, and she does it pretty well. So I expect that from her. Don't expect a win here. Jade Cargill is likely going to be the favorite for most. I don't know that she wins here. I don't know that they want to put her in that number one contender spot right now. Some kind of weird shenanigans take place and Cargill gets eliminated is my guess. And they'll put her into another feud after this match. It may be with Thunder Rosa, but we'll see. Because, of course, there was Thunder Rosa got attacked by Nyla Rose and Jade Cargill. But that could be setting something else up. Abaddon. I love Abaddon's look. I think Abaddon could be absolutely perfect as a face going after heels that are just terrified of her the way Shida was when Shida was champ. Shida and her fear of Abaddon was one of my favorite angles they've done with women's wrestlers. And sadly, I didn't feel like it lasted long enough. So we'll see if they go face-to-face at all in this match. Kylan King, good young wrestler. Layla Hirsch, also good young wrestler. I do wonder with Layla Hirsch if her being small, like shorter, is going to hurt her ability to move her way up the card. Nyla Rose, been champion before. I'd be really surprised if she won. She's already had her match with Britt Baker. I don't know how well that feud worked. They're both bad guys. I didn't know who I was supposed to be cheering for in that. Julia Hart, fantastic young talent. Not her time yet. The Varsity Blondes, I think there's a lot of talent there. One thing I really like that AEW does, they get these young wrestlers in there, and they lose a lot, but then they'll wipe the slate clean between one year and the next. And you can see that with the Varsity Blondes that they're losing a bunch, but they're working their way up, they're learning, and they're going to be a big deal in the future. And Julia should be part of that. Big Swole, I'm honestly surprised she hasn't been closer to the title picture than she is. She has the look, she has the talent. We'll see if she gets there. The Bunny. The Bunny is an odd one to me because I know she's a heel, I know she's a bad guy, but I like her better as a face. And so we'll see how it goes this weekend. We'll see if she comes out with the blade. Whatever happens there. But it's a weird one, and of course she's paired up with Penelope. We'll talk about Penelope in a second. Red Velvet, I like Red Velvet. Liked her match with Britt Baker. Britt won it, rightfully so, but it didn't hurt Red Velvet at all in the match. Thunder Rosa is, I think, the one that probably wins this and goes on to challenge Britt next. We know Britt and Thunder Rosa can tear the house down. I would expect them to do it again. Ty Conti probably doesn't win this, but it should be a lot of fun when she and Anna Jay are in there, and the Bunny, and odds are Penelope Ford up against each other as well. So Penelope Ford, another one. All the looks in the world to be a successful professional women's wrestler. The talent is there too. And I think she's underrated. I do. I think Penelope Ford's underrated. I think Penelope eventually becomes a big deal as a face, but as a heel right now, she's killing it. So I think that's fine. But eventually, I think when she becomes a bigger deal, I think it'll probably be as a good guy. Diamante, good wrestler. Has wrestled on Dark a lot, not been on Dynamite as much. Rebel, she's been on a crutch, and she hasn't really wrestled very much for a while. I think it would be hilarious if Rebel somehow won this and was Britt Baker's challenger. It's not going to happen, but I think it would be hilarious if it did. Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter's an interesting one because you could see a situation where she wins this and then she does challenge Britt Baker. But they just brought Jamie in, so that probably doesn't happen. So Hayter is there, likely to get thrown out by one of the other bigger ladies in the match. But Jamie looks absolutely fantastic. I was a fan of hers before she left AEW the first time, and she's in much better shape now than she was then. And, absolutely fantastic. Emi Sakura, she is a good I would say mid-carder among the women, and absolutely able to pull off some awesome moves. I would expect some awesome moves from her. Hikaru Shida, former champ, held on to the title for a very long time. Sadly, the women's division not very strong for the most part while she was champ. So I would love to see Hikaru Shida get into a rematch with Baker because she hasn't had it. She's barely even been on Dynamite. I can't think of her being on Dynamite since she lost the belt. So it's weird to me. And then there's still apparently an empty slot, and the former Ruby Riott under a new name, could very well be the surprise entrant there. There's been talk about her going to AEW. She's another one that I look at and I think, why did WWE drop her? Why? There are other women's wrestlers that aren't that good at wrestling. Ruby Riot's not one of them. And the other ones in WWE seem to still have their job, and they let her go. So it's weird. And then on the buy-in, this is for people who don't want to buy the whole pay-per-view, there's a 10-man match, which has Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, Wheeler Yuta, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. So that's going to be a lot of fun against Matt Hardy, Jack Evans, and Helico, Mark Quinn, and Isaiah Kennedy. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Private Party is great. I really hope at some point Private Party ends up in the title hunt. But this is a deep roster. It's great. This is awesome. And, of course, postponed, that was supposed to be on this card and isn't, is Pac versus Andrade. Which, the benefit of that is, the Casino Battle Royale for women was supposed to be on the buy-in show. Now it's on the main show. I don't understand why that would have been on the buy-in, but, you know, at least they're giving a lot of women the chance to be on the main card and show what they can do. So Pac versus Andrade, which will be awesome, has been pushed back due to, I believe it's travel issues with Pac that have kept him from being able to be there. But, you know, that's why he's the bastard, isn't it? Anyways, there you go. Or Pac, right? Pac. Yeah, there you go. Sorry for pronouncing it Pac, but what are you going to do? There you go. We're all set. Let me know who you think's going to win. And, yeah, we're going to do a live reaction stream, likely in this room. I'll find a way to get it cast to the TV, and we'll do the reaction in this room. And it should be fun. So tune in for that. Let me know your thoughts. Who do you think's going to win? Who do you think's going to be... which match is going to surprise people and be the match of the night? And which one do you think's going to be the dud? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.